Uh, Hello, everyone. Welcome to practice. We're going to be practicing using the breath to move the body. So a lot of the time in class, we kind of move and then take the breath. We're going to try and take the breath and use that to move us into the next posture. So to start the class, we'll come into a mini Shavasana. So slowly lying down on our back. Letting those legs roll out to either side. The shoulder blades coming underneath us. Allowing that breath to gently lengthen. And just allowing your day to drop away. Just being present on your mat in this moment, in your body. And doing a quick little scan of your body. How is your energy level? Is there any pain, any little niggles, any soreness in the body? Just noticing, just observing, not casting any judgment or trying to change. Either staying here with your normal breath, just breathing deeply in and out, or you might slowly add in this visualization of inhaling through the soles of the feet, taking that breath all the way up the body and out the crown of your head. As you exhale, the exhale comes down the body and all the way out the soles of the feet. Taking that inhale through the feet, taking that new prana and energy throughout the whole body to every cell. And as we exhale, just removing any little pain, any thoughts, feelings, sensations which don't serve us anymore. Inhaling through the feet, up through the crown, and exhaling all the way back down. Taking a few more rounds like this. Gaining that new energy, revitalizing all the cells in the body. And exhaling what no longer serves us. Take 2 last rounds. And slowly blinking open those eyes, hugging those knees in. And we'll gently just rock side to side. Maybe making little circles with those knees. And changing directions, just massaging along the spine, along the hips. And then we're gently going to move with that breath and movement. So as we inhale and exhale. So inhale wants to take us to those knees hugging in. Exhale, curling into a little ball. Inhaling, unraveling feet on the ground. Exhaling to bridge pose. Inhaling, hips come back down. Exhaling, legs go up. Inhaling, legs come down. And exhaling, curling to a little ball, nose meets the knees. Inhaling, feet come back down. Exhaling, hips come up. Inhaling, hips come down. And exhaling, legs go up. Taking 2 more rounds like this. And just noticing, did you move before the breath? Or did the breath start the movement? How does it feel in your body, breaking up each movement with the breath? Does it feel a little bit more like a flow? Last round. And we'll stay in our little ball. Maybe a little rock side to side. And then we'll come up and down the spine. 3 or 5 little rocks. Massaging that spine. And slowly coming towards our tabletop. So setting up those wrists underneath our shoulders, knees underneath our hips, lengthening that spine first, getting nice and long and strong. We'll come into our cat and cows again, leading with the breath. So as you start to inhale, coming into that cow pose, and exhaling starts to take you into that cat, rounding that spine. Inhaling to start the movement back into cow, dropping belly button, crown lifts. And the exhale starts the arching of the back, that tucking of the tail. Inhaling for cow. And exhaling for cat. Coming back to neutral, lengthening that spine, drawing that belly button in now. So we've got a nice flat back, pushing firmly into the hands. We're going to come into our cross-body balance, so making sure that left knee's down nice and firmly onto the ground, bringing right leg all the way up, trying to get that heel up towards our hip height. Noticing what happens when we bring that heel up. Does our belly immediately drop down? We sag into that lower back. Can we draw the belly button back in, pushing out with that right heel to try and lengthen the spine? Once we've got the hips and that lower back in place, then adding the hand. So drawing left arm up, trying to get bicep by ear, reaching the fingertips all the way forward and heel back. So I want to be nice and long in the spine, feeling that kind of cross pull in the body, working our obliques, working our core. And slowly elbow meets the knee. So we inhale, we're lengthening back out. And as we start to exhale, arching the back. Inhale lengthens us back out. And exhale takes us to crunch. Slowly lengthening back out. And then dropping all the way down. Any little wiggles, adjustments. And then coming onto the second side, tucking that belly button back in. Drawing left leg out first, trying to get the heel up towards hip height. Notice what happens in the belly, drawing the belly button all the way back in. And then adding that right arm, bicep by the ear, fingers pulling towards the front. Getting nice and long in the spine. And slowly taking that crunch as we exhale. The inhale starts to lead you forward. And exhale starts to arch and round the back. Last time. And dropping hand and knee. We'll come into our little bear pose, tucking the toes under, knees off the mat, just an inch or two. Trying to keep that belly button drawing in, crown forward. So notice what's happening with the shoulders here. You're starting to arch and have a little cat in the back. Can we try and keep that spine long, shoulders down the back, and crown reaching forward? Letting those knees drop. Untuck those toes, thread the needle, right arm wants to come all the way up, broadening those collarbones. And then threading right arm through left arm gap, knee and ear touch. Opening all the way back up. Exhaling to thread. Inhale takes us back to open last time. And exhaling, thread. Settling in this time, the right shoulder, right ear wants to push into the mat. That left hand pushing in to try and broaden those collarbones. Noticing what's happening to our hips here. Have they come off to one side? Can we square those hips off, drawing those outer hip bones together? Belly button drawing in. Keeping a nice firm pressure in the back of that right hand, right shoulder. And maybe playing with lifting left hand. Can we get these left fingertips pulling towards the ceiling? So we're trying to broaden those collarbones so we're not arching, curving that upper body. Either staying here or playing with your balance. Slowly, left leg comes out. Just on the ball of the foot, straightening that leg. Notice what happens to your balance here as the body's slowly tilted to one side. Can we draw that belly button in, engaging the core a little bit more? And then maybe lifting left leg. Starting to stack hip above hip, opening that torso. So it's going to bring us more off balance, feeling the little wiggles in the body to try and hold us in space. Hip leg a little bit higher. And gently unraveling. Foot comes down, knee down, left hand down, and unravel. Any little adjustments you need, setting up that tabletop again for the second side. When you're ready, that inhale draws up that left arm. And exhale, thread the needle. Inhale, left arm comes up. And slowly exhale to thread the needle. Last time, inhale takes the arm all the way up. And exhaling, threading the needle, settling on that left shoulder, left ear, pushing firmly into right hand. Trying to broaden those collarbones. Trying to keep those hips nice and level. And that belly button drawing in. Maybe adding on here, slowly taking right arm up towards ceiling. Reaching those fingertips, pushing into that left shoulder. So we're trying to broaden the collarbones. Either staying here or if you've got your balance or you try it on the other side, slowly extending right leg. Maybe pausing with just the ball on the foot, the ball of the foot on the ground, or maybe drawing that belly button in and lifting right leg up. That's going to throw you off balance. So you might feel these little wiggles in the body. The body slowly tries to hold you in center. Maybe one side's a little bit different to the other. And gently unraveling. Coming back to center. Slowly coming back towards that bear pose that we did. So tucking the toes under, just lifting the knees an inch off the ground, trying to lengthen the spine still. So we're not cat in the back. We're nice and long in that spine. Slowly down the dog. You might need to take a little step to extend the stance from your tabletop. And then pedaling out your first dog, one heel, coming towards the ground, bending the opposite knee. Maybe swaying hips side to side. Maybe moving the shoulders into this. Maybe bending both knees and rolling the hips up. Coming to stillness in your downward dog, trying to straighten that spine, moving the ears between the biceps, shoulder blades moving down the back towards your tailbone, and heels dropping or melting towards the mat. Slowly bending the knees so you can set your gaze forward, walking towards the top. Taking a halfway lift. Exhaling to fold down. And raising all the way to standing. Hands by our side. So from our standing, we want to take some movement with that breath again. So those palms facing out, shoulder blades down the back. On your next inhale, hands reaching up. Can't quite see my hands here, but we want to turn the palms to face down, and the exhale, let the arms just drop. Inhale, the palms naturally turn up, raising them up, grabbing all that new prana, that energy. And again, exhaling, palms and down, releasing what no longer serves us. 2 more times, inhaling, coming up. And exhaling, coming down. Last time, inhaling, coming up. And exhaling, coming down. We'll slowly come through our sun salutation A. Inhaling, hands above us, stretching out. Maybe that sternum raises a little bit. And exhaling, hinging at those hips, folding all the way down. Inhaling for our halfway lift. Fingertips by toes, straight spine. Exhaling through our chaturanga, step or jump back. Inhaling for your back bend, maybe baby cobra or cobra to start. And down dog. Just noticing how the body's feeling now. We're starting to flow and move. Is your body feeling the chaturangas or back bends? Does it want to take it a little bit deeper or ease off today? Slowly bending those knees to set the gaze forward, walking or hopping towards the top. Halfway lift when you get there. Exhaling to fold down, belly meets the thighs. And raising all the way up to standing, hands above you, stretching out. And hands by your side. Inhaling, hands above you. And exhaling, hinging at those hips, folding all the way down. Halfway lift. Exhaling to fold forward, right leg steps all the way back, right knee on the ground, coming all the way up into Anjayasana. Trying to tuck that pelvis under, so that tailbone reaching down, pubic bone coming up. Trying to draw the body out of the hips so the side of the body is nice and strong, and arms reaching actively towards the ceiling. So we're going to start to add some movement with breath here again. So as we inhale, we want to come to cactus, arms lifting that sternum. Exhale, let the arms drop and rebound all the way up. Inhale, let the arms come to cactus. Exhale, rebounds them all the way up. One last time. Arrowhead pose, hinging at those hips, arms come behind us. Thumbs pointing out to the side of the room, shoulder blades trying to touch on the back. That crown of the head's reaching forwards, the spine's nice and long. Slowly hands come to prayer at heart center. And we're taking that twist to the right elbow outside that left knee joint. So we've already hinged at the hips. We're just adding that twist in the spine. Can we try and draw those hands towards heart center, the crown of the head forward? So we're lengthening. That belly button wants to draw in to help with the twist. Tailbone and crown reaching away from each other. Can we get that left elbow pulling straight up towards the ceiling? Notice what happens to the shoulders. They creep up by the ears. Can we let them stay down so that neck's nice and long? Slowly releasing the hands. Stepping back to your high plank. Checking in with those energy levels if you lower the knees for your chaturanga. Inhale takes you to your back bend. And exhale all the way back to down dog. Slowly right leg towards the sky. Stepping all the way forward. Knee drops, Anjayasana. This time we're adding on our Ardha Hanumanasana, our half splits. So inhale, lengthen the spine. And exhale, shoot that tailbone back, rolling onto the heel of that front foot, grabbing your blocks if you would like. You need to adjust that front leg if it's too short a stance, just moving that heel forward so we can work towards straightening that front leg. We want to plug that right thigh bone back into the body as well. So we're working towards squaring those hips off. Keeping those hips over that back left knee. And that torso is nice and long, so the crown and tail reaching away from each other. Shoulders down the back. One last full deep breath. Slowly coming onto the sole of that front foot, moving the blocks to the top, hands frame that front foot, stepping all the way to the top of the mat. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale takes you to fold. Inhale all the way up to standing. And hands by your side. We inhale all the way up. And exhale, hinge at those hips folding down. Halfway lift. Exhaling to fold forward, left leg steps back. Lift that torso up on the inhale, Anjayasana. Trying to move that torso away from that front thigh, so we're stacking it over that back knee. Trying to have that knee over that front ankle, but if you're a little bit shorter in the legs, longer in the torso, or your shin and your thigh bone at different heights, you might want to adjust. So you might naturally step to a little bit of a longer stance, just heel toeing. So we're adding in that movement with breath again as we inhale, cactus, opening that chest. Exhale, let the arms drop and they rebound up. Inhale, cactus. Exhale, rebound. Shoulder blades trying to touch. And arrowhead. Slowly hinging at the hips, that belly's not resting on the thigh, so it's just inside it. So we're using our core and obliques to hold us here. Those hands reaching towards the ceiling. Slowly, hands come to Anjali Mudra, prayer at heart center, adding in the twist. So we've already got that tilt at the hips. Now we're just twisting from that belly button upwards, trying to hook that left elbow outside right knee. Slowly trying to move the chest towards hand height. So we're pushing slightly into that front thigh.
And we're trying to make sure we're not looking down towards that back hip. It's a natural reaction to kind of look towards the hands and the hip, but can we draw that crown of the head forward, shoulder blades away from the ears, trying to lengthen in that spine, even though we've got this little twist happening. Slowly releasing, hands frame that front foot, stepping back to your high plank. Flowing through, checking in with your energy levels if you take your chaturanga off the ground. If you come into your full cobra or upward dog, and back to downward dog. If you're losing the breath connection, maybe just coming back a level. If you went straight to that upward dog and lost the breath, maybe coming back to the cobra. Slowly left leg lifts towards the sky. Stepping all the way forward, right knee down, back to that Anjalayasana. Trying to push into that front knee or the front foot and that back knee, almost like they're trying to draw together energetically. So we're activating that pelvic floor as we do that, lifting the torso out of the hips. And we're slowly coming into Ardha Hanumanasana. Hands come down, heel that front foot. Adjusting heel toeing if you need to, or using your blocks to bring the ground a little bit closer if you need to. Trying to plug that left thigh bone back into the hip socket, that right thigh bone as well plugging in. So we're trying to square those hips, lengthen the spine. Slowly sole that front foot comes back down, moving the blocks to the top. Hands want to frame that front foot, stepping all the way up to the top. Halfway lift, lengthening that spine. Exhaling to fold. Inhale leads you up. Hands down. Modified sun salutation A. So as we inhale, hands above us. Exhaling, hinging at the hips. Halfway lift. Exhaling, coming back to our closed leg child's pose. So knees about hip width apart, hips pulling all the way back, hands pushing into the mat. Can we rotate those biceps up, triceps down, and shoulder blades down the back as we do that? So we're going to come into this modified sun A or flow. So we're coming all the way forward as we inhale. Cobra. Slowly pulling all the way back towards a kneeling or child's pose. Inhale takes us all the way up. And exhale back to that closed leg child's pose. Inhale forward to the cobra. Exhale back to child's. Inhale up. And exhale back to child's. One last time, we inhale forward to cobra, drop those hips, shoulders down. Exhale back to child's. Inhale up to kneeling, arms above us. And exhale back to child's. Just noticing how that movement felt in your body. Were there any little points of sticking or clunkiness or tension? Just noticing where your body finds that sticking point. Now we're going to come all the way back to our downward dog, tucking those toes, lifting the hips. Slowly bending the knees to set the gaze forward, walking, hopping towards the top. Halfway lift. Exhaling to fold. And raising all the way up to standing, hands above us. And hands by our side. Adding on to that little flow. So inhale, hands above us. And exhaling, Utkatasana, chair pose, dropping those shoulders down, dropping those hips, and noticing what's happening to our knees. They're coming way forward in front of our toes. Can we pull them back? So almost tipping over. We can lift those toes up. Slowly hinging at the hips, folding down. Halfway lift. Exhaling to fold down. Right leg comes back. Coming up to crescent lunge this time. So nicely bending that front knee, trying to draw that knee over that front ankle. Tucking that tailbone under. Arms nice and strong, biceps by the ears, crown reaching up. Can we plug that left thigh bone back into the body? So we're trying to square those hips as well. Back knee can be as bent as we need to try and tuck that tailbone. Can we come into that cactus movement again? So now we're up off that back knee. We might be a little bit more unsteady. So taking it nice and easy. Inhale comes us to cactus, lifting that chest. Exhale, let the arms drop and rebound up. Inhale, cactus, drop the arms. One last time. Arrowhead pose, hinging at the hips, arms come back. Keeping that belly off that front thigh. So we're using our core obliques to hold us here. That crown wants to reach and pull forward. So almost like we're getting to jump off that back foot. Hands come to that prayer at heart center and taking that twist. Right elbow hooks outside left knee. Trying to get that left elbow reaching up towards the ceiling. Crown of the head wants to reach forward. So we don't want to look down the body. That's tempting to do. But trying to reach that crown forward, belly button drawing in. Slowly unraveling, hands frame that front foot, stepping all the way back to our high plank. Flowing through our chaturanga, our back bend, and back to our downward dog. Slowly that right leg lifts towards the ceiling. And stepping all the way forward, crescent lunge. Trying to drop into that front knee, tucking that tailbone under. Arms reaching up towards the ceiling. And we'll just hinge at the hips this time. Hands frame that front foot, step to the top of the mat. Halfway lift. Exhaling to fold. And raising all the way up to standing, hands above us. Releasing those hands. Second side, inhaling, hands above us. And exhaling, hinging at those hips, folding all the way down. Halfway lift. Exhaling to fold, left leg steps back. Crescent lunge. Tucking that tailbone under, bending that right knee. We'll add that cactus arms in again as we inhale, cactus, opening that chest. Drop those arms and let them rebound as you exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One last time. And arrowhead, hinging at those hips, crown reaching forward, the backs of the hands trying to reach up towards the ceiling. Nice deep bend in that front knee and make sure that belly's not resting on that thigh. That crown of the head's reaching forward so much that we're almost weightless in that back foot. It's almost like it's about to jump off the mat. Hands come to Anjali Mudra at heart center. And taking that twist, so turning from that belly button upwards, trying to hook that left elbow outside right knee. Trying to draw those hands towards heart center, crown of the head forward, so don't look down the body. Right elbow wants to reach up towards the ceiling. Keep that bend in that front knee, don't release it. Slowly hands frame that front foot, high plank. Flowing through your chaturanga, your back bend, and back to downward dog. Slowly left leg towards the sky. Stepping all the way forward, crescent lunge. Coming all the way up, pulling that left thigh bone back into the body, tucking tailbone. And exhale, we want to hinge at the hips, step to the top. Inhale takes us to halfway lift. Exhale takes us down. And raising all the way up to standing, hands above us. Hands by our side. Inhale, hands above us. Exhaling, hinging at those hips, falling all the way down. Halfway lift. Exhaling, stepping back to that closed leg child's pose. Just one leg, then the other. Drop the knees down, hips down. So we're going to take that funky little flow again and add on. Take a few breaths in your child's pose, just allowing yourself to regain that breath, to slow it back down, to deepen it. Sometimes when we take the flows or even the twisting poses, we can start to hold that breath. We can take it a little bit shallower. We won't breathe into the belly, we breathe into the chest. So allowing yourself to take that breath all the way down, allowing that diaphragm to move. When you're ready, on your next inhale, coming all the way forward, cobra. Exhale, dropping the lower ribs down. Inhale, locust. Exhale, child's. Inhale, kneeling, hands above you. Exhale, drop the hands to the sacrum. Inhale, camel. Exhale, child's. Hold here for a few breaths. Now you know where we're going with this little flow. We've got 2 more times. On your next inhale, coming all the way forward, cobra. Exhale, drops the ribs. Inhale, locust. Exhale, child's. Inhale, kneeling, arms above us. Exhaling, hands on sacrum. Inhaling, camel. Exhaling, child's. 2 breaths here. Inhale takes you forward. Exhale, drops the ribs. Inhale, locust. Exhale, child's. Inhale, come to kneeling. Exhale, hands on sacrum. Inhale, camel. Exhale, child. Come all the way back up to kneeling. We'll hold a camel pose now. So noticing if those camels felt okay in your lower back, if there's any pain, pressure, maybe just staying down in your child's pose, maybe taking some little wiggles with the tail, releasing that lower back. Otherwise, setting up fully for your camel pose. So you want to try that We go on a diagonal here. So we want to try and set the knees up underneath the hips. The ankles will be hip width apart, straight behind your knees. Want to tuck that tailbone under so the pubic bone's coming up, those inner thighs rolling back. Nice pressure into the knees. You can either take the hands to the sacrum, so that bony part of the lower back, or towards the heels. So maybe taking it to the sacrum first to start. We want to inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, we're kind of hinging back from those knees, then pushing that sacrum up, or sternum, pushing the sternum up. Maybe releasing the hands towards the heels. Maybe releasing the head so the crown's pulling straight to the back of the room. So the neck's working, we can still talk, swallow. We don't want to drop the head all the way down because it's going to kink the neck. One more full deep breath. Slowly back up, and everyone child's pose. Little wiggle of the tail side to side. Release that lower back. You slowly want to come all the way towards that downward dog. So we won't come back up to the top of the mat this time. We'll stay here. We'll raise that right leg towards the sky, long and strong. Exhale takes us to pigeon. Right knee towards right wrist, ankle towards left. Untucking that back toe, setting up any props you need, maybe a block under that right hip, maybe a block under that left thigh so we can try and square those hips. Once the hips are nice and set up, you're pushing into that pinky toe of that back foot, maybe hinging at those hips again, lowering the torso down. So trying to work towards hips, chest, forehead down on the mat. Allowing the breath to lengthen here. Take one last full deep breath. Slowly on the inhale, walking those hands back, lengthening that spine. Now we want to use our hip flexors here. So we want to bring that left foot all the way forward to the top of the mat. So you've got a block in the way, just moving that. Gently pushing that right hip seat bone into the ground. If you have a block under the seat bone, moving that. And then trying to keep this left leg nice and straight. Coming all the way forward, Janushirasana. So we'll end up on a slight little angle. Just adjusting that right foot so it's not pushing into the knee joint, moving that thigh maybe so we can move the fleshy parts away from that left seat bone. I want to lengthen those arms above us, turn the torso a little bit over that left thigh. And as we exhale, trying to lift the body out of the hips and then down. Letting the hands just drop wherever they can so the shoulders can stay down the back. Trying to keep that neck nice and long so we don't want to drop the head. We want to use those neck muscles as part of the stretch. So we're drawing out away from the tailbone, the head's drawing forward, the crown of the head's drawing up. Maybe feeling the stretch along the hamstrings, the back of that left leg, maybe a little bit on the outside, maybe a little bit in the lower back, but we're doing this belly button towards the thigh, the straight spine to try and protect the lower back so we're not feeling any pain or pinching. If we are, maybe coming up a little bit, maybe bending that left knee. Slowly coming all the way up. I want to make our way back to pigeon and downward dog. So we've got this right leg still set up in the same spot it was for pigeon. So trying to not use our hands if we can place them down if you need. Maybe a little pressure into that right seat bone, left leg as straight as we can, all the way back on top of that left foot. Hands down, tuck those left toes, down dog. Maybe wiggle out the hips, noticing how one leg feels versus the other now. And coming onto that second side, that left leg lifts straight towards the sky and pigeon. Left knee to left wrist, ankle towards right, setting up any props under seat bones or thigh. Trying to square those hips. So we're drawing both thigh bones into the hip sockets. And then maybe tilting at the hips, coming down. Trying to lower chest towards ground, forehead towards ground. So we don't want to arch the back, but we want to lengthen. Making sure we're pushing into the pinky toe side of that right foot, that back foot. So it's going to help to square the hips to draw that thigh bone back into its hip socket. And using this chance here to lengthen the breath back out. Take one last cool, deep breath. Slowly want to lift back up. And trying to keep this right leg, this back leg as straight as we can, coming to Janushrasana. So gently tilting onto that left hip, moving the props first if you have any blocks. Swinging that right leg all the way forward, just so the thigh touches that left foot. Moving that foot just enough so it won't touch that knee joint, so it's inside the thigh. And maybe rolling that right thigh so we can move the fleshy parts out from under our bottom so we're sitting on the seat bones. We use the inhale, lengthen the arm. Turn torso slightly towards that right leg, and then trying to draw the torso out of the hips and down. Keeping those right toes pulling back towards us. Trying to keep that spine nice and long, so we're drawing the belly button down, the crown of the head's drawing away from the tail. And the hands are just dropping wherever they can touch. Be noticing this side's a little bit different from the other. Maybe one side pigeon is a little bit harder. One side Janu is a little bit harder. It's not to say one side is better than the other. It's just very rarely our bodies are even. We're always strengthening or stretching one side more than the other, just naturally how we live our lives, how we stand and cross our legs and which side we carry our bags on. We're always just creating a slight asymmetry. And slowly coming all the way back up. We're not going to make our way back this time. We'll come all the way to Paschimottanasana. So drawing both legs in, moving the fleshy parts away, heels in, maybe about hip width apart, seat bones pushing into the mat, slight little micro bend in the knees, just so you can wiggle some fingers under those knee joints. I want to lengthen the torso, the arms. And again, try and hinge. So we're trying to draw the torso out of the hips and then forward. So that's how our hip sockets work. So we're thinking, doing that motion as we come into our forward folds, maybe noticing now we've kind of done that motion, we've kept the spine straight, that crown reaching away from the tail. We don't get as far in this forward fold, but that's okay, as long as we're feeling a little bit of a stretch up the backs of the legs. There's no pain pinching in that lower back, and that spine's nice and long. We're engaging that core, using our obliques to kind of pull us here, the neck's engaged. We've got a lot more safe and active pose than if we were to what some people call plopasana, to plop down. Taking few full deep breaths. And slowly coming all the way up and rolling onto your back. We'll hug those knees in and just a gentle roll side to side. Maybe rolling those knees and switching sides. We'll come into our happy baby pose here, drawing those knees towards the underarms, trying to stack the ankles above the knees. We want to keep our shoulder blades and our tailbone on the mat and the back of the head. So we're just reaching those hands for whatever they can hold. Maybe if we can reach towards the feet and then place the tail and shoulders back on the ground, that's okay. We're just trying to keep the integrity in the spine. We don't want to close off or lose some of the pose just to be able to hold or reach towards the feet. Slowly releasing your grip on the legs. Bring the legs back in, knees in, tabletop, arms out to the T shape. Knees over to the right, bumping onto that right hip, right side of the leg, and trying to push that left shoulder back into the mat. Maybe setting your gaze over towards that left hand. You can try and draw that top left hip away from the body. So notice what that does if you draw that top hip away. Maybe that bottom right hip comes in a little bit. Maybe that creates a little space in the side waist, maybe in the lower back. Just noticing how that feels. Maybe you've already naturally done that in your body, and pushing it away further just kind of stretches too much and lifts the chest and the shoulders off the mat. Just noticing where you are. Slowly make our way back to center, turning the head first back to center, then the knees, trying to keep them together.
Adjusting that pelvis, the shoulders if you need to recenter the body, and then knees towards that left. Trying to push those shoulder blades back into the ground. Maybe turning your gaze towards that right hand. Maybe drawing the top hip, that right hip away from the torso. And keeping that breath nice and long. Coming back to center, drawing the head in first, then the legs. Any little wiggles, rocks you need. And slowly setting up for your Shavasana. Arms by your side, letting those shoulder blades roll down underneath you. Letting the legs relax and feet roll out to either side. Eyes are gently closed. Brow softening. Letting the breath just return to normal. Allowing the mind to slow. Just thinking any thought which arises. And gently letting it pass you by. Slowly starting to draw your awareness back. Starting to notice your breath again. Feeling of your body on the mat. And gently inviting some movement in, taking it small, wiggling fingers and toes. Gently taking a little bit bigger, rolling wrists and ankles. Maybe the head side to side. Maybe even stretching those arms overhead, big stretch out. And letting it all go. Gently hugging your knees into your chest and just rolling to your favorite side. Taking a little pause on your side. Little moment to check back in with your body, your breath, your mind. And gently making your way to a seated position. Cross-legged or kneeling. Eyes gently closed or lowered. We'll just finish the practice with a namaste. Namaste. Thank you, yogis. I hope you enjoyed the breath with movement practice, using the breath to move us into the postures rather than the postures to move the breath. Maybe sometimes play around with this in class, or just notice what you're doing if you're doing one more than the other. And sometimes when we kind of change the flow and we use the breath first, it can become more of a meditative flow. So we're kind of getting a little bit calmer, more control and slower in our movements. All right. Thank you.